أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بطغواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فعقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
وآل محمد صلوات. بازار آ گیا، بازار آ گیا، بازار آ گیا، بازار آ گیا. سیدانیاں پریشان، سیدانیاں پریشان، دربار آ گیا، بازار آ گیا، بازار آ گیا. بھائی بھتیجو سب کی نیزوں پہ سر چڑھے ہیں، راہوں میں ہر طرف سب پتھر لیے کھڑے ہیں. سر کو جھکائے سید، سر کو جھکائے سید، سجاد آ گیا، بازار آ گیا، بازار آ گیا. جن کے قدم نگر سے باہر کبھی بھی آئے، ان بیویوں کو امت بازار میں پھرائے. یہ وقت سیدوں پر، یہ وقت سیدوں پر دشوار آ گیا، بازار آ گیا، بازار آ گیا. بالوں سے اپنا چہرہ سیدانیاں چھپائے، سجاد کی صدا ہے دے دو کوئی ردائے. جب سامنے یوں مجمع، جب سامنے یوں مجمع اغیار آ گیا، بازار آ گیا، بازار
مجمع شرابیوں کا اور بیٹیاں علی کی
فضا کے پیچھے چھپ کے زینب کھڑی ہوئی تھی
یاد اس کو آئے غازی
یاد اس کو ہائے غازی علمدار آ گیا بازار آ گیا بازار آ گیا
غازی کا سر تھا نیزے پر زینب کو دیکھ کر
اجلی بطول زادی کی حالت کو سوچ گئے
وہ شرم سے زمین پر
وہ شرم سے زمین پر کئی بار آ گیا بازار آ گیا بازار آ گیا
پاؤں میں بیڑیاں ہے گردن میں توک بھاری
کی خاک سر میں آنکھوں سے خون جاری
سجاد بل کے قافلہ
سجاد بن کے قافلہ سالار آ گیا بازار آ گیا بازار آ گیا
دالیاں پریشان
زینبیہ پریشان دربار آ گیا بازار آ گیا بازار آ گیا
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين. In the last few nights, we got the chance to discuss the city of Kufa, how the caravan moved from Karbala onwards to Kufa, and the lessons that we took from this. Valuable lessons, lessons of bravery, lessons of confidence, lessons of strength in the face of an enemy. And these are lessons that we require in our lives to revolutionize ourselves, to bring ourselves stronger on the path of Allah. But Kufa was just the beginning. Kufa wasn't the main goal. Kufa was to try to pull away some of the lovers of the family of the Holy Prophet away from their beloved, away from their Imam and show them that these people have been disgraced, these people have been obliterated, these people have been finished, and nothing remains of them, so you should leave them alone and follow the tyrants and the rulers and the Amirul Mu'mineen as they call themselves. But after what happened in Kufa, their stay in Kufa was very short. The communication began to send them to the place where they were supposed to be. The humiliation in Kufa was not the final goal. The final goal was to humiliate this family in Sham. Sham, a place that had been fed propaganda against our first Imam for decades before Karbala. Sham, where the people did not have the love of the progeny of the Holy Prophet en masse. Of course, there were pockets and there were people, but the public opinion in Sham was not for the Ahlul Bayt. And that's why the decision was to send them on towards Sham. The discussion of Sham doesn't begin in Sham itself, rather it begins in the way they were sent. Often when we hear the Masa'ib and the history, we hear that the Ahlul Bayt left Karbala on towards Kufa and on towards Sham, and we have this in our minds that okay, they went towards Kufa and then Sham. This must have been a journey that was similar. The two wings of this journey, if you want, must have been similar. Whereas in reality, the journey towards Kufa was a journey of 1 day, maximum 1.5 days, a journey of 80 or so kilometers. But the journey towards Sham, the routes that one can take towards Sham stretch from 1,000 kilometers to 1,500 kilometers. Let that number sink in for a second. 1,000 kilometers to 1,500 kilometers. After having been through what they went through in Karbala, moving towards Kufa. What happened in Kufa? After that, being sent on a journey of this length. And of course, you know, in those days, journey of 1,000 kilometers, a journey of 1,000 kilometers nowadays is not something that's too difficult with planes and even cars. Even with a car, a journey of 1,000 kilometers, you can travel that sort of distance in a matter of 12, 15, 18, 24 hours, depending on the roads, depending on the traffic. But at that time, on horseback, on camelback, and on other mounts, you're looking at a journey, if you take an average of about 50, 60, 70, 80 kilometers a day, a journey that would take a minimum of 12, 13 days. 12, 13 days. Let that sink in. Let this number sink in. Just imagine what we know of the caravan. Right? That journey to Kufa, when we hear about it, it's enough to make our hearts bleed. Imagine 12, 13, 14 days. And it's mentioned that they were rushed. That's why you may ask the question that how is it that according to some of the historians, they were back by Arba'in, if they traveled 12, 13 days and came back 12, 13 days. These historians mentioned that they were rushed. They were taken distances that were not normal, that were not the standard and the norms and the accepted amount for daily travel. The horses were told to travel faster, the camels the same, the other animals all rushed towards Sham. Weather conditions. Just imagine the weather conditions. At that time, you're looking at travel through different terrains. Some of the areas in the middle are mountainous regions. Days and nights, traveling with children. And the most painful part of this is that the camels and the horses, according to the multiple ahadith that we have, did not even have saddles on them. If you've ever sat on a horse with a saddle, you know that horse riding for an amount of 30 minutes, 35 minutes, 1 hour is enough for the whole body to feel pain with a saddle. Without a saddle, 12, 13, 14 days in the heat of the day, in the cold of the night, unprotected. All of this for strong men is something that's unbearable, let alone young children. young orphans. This is how they attempted to humiliate this family. And had it been anybody other than this family or their followers, this is a journey that the first few days of it were too difficult to bear. Truly, truly, we do not understand the suffering of Sham. And now add to this, and if you look at the books of history, there's so much more that you can add in detail. One more element that I'll mention, and this is mentioned in multiple narrations, that specifically about our fourth Imam, that the fourth Imam was not only in chains, but it's mentioned according to the instruction of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, وَأَمَرَ بِعَلِيِّ ibn al-Husayn فَغُلَّ بِغُلٍّ إِلَىٰ عُنُقِهِ. He said that this Imam, he must be chained all the way up to his neck, must be in chains. Can you imagine the state of this journey? Can you imagine traveling such distances in such conditions with such young children, orphans, lost their brothers, lost their family members, with chains up till their necks? But you know what is the true message of this? All of this until now is something that's unbearable to hear. But after this is what makes the Ahlul Bayt, and makes us their true lovers. Yet with all of this in history, you will not find one statement of complaint from any of these members. This is something that anybody, you just explain this to a person who doesn't believe in the Ahlul Bayt, doesn't have that love for the Ahlul Bayt, they will say these people, whoever they are extraordinary people. This strength, this resolve can only come from somebody who's truly connected to Allah. Their source of power is now the power of Allah. A normal human being with our power cannot tolerate such condition. Up to the time where when they reach Sham, and at one point Yazid steps forward and he calls the children and the ladies over, and he sees their state. He says, قَبَّحَ اللَّهُ ابْنَ مَرْجَانَ. What evil has the son of Marjana, means Ibn Ziyad. قَبَّحَ Allah means may Allah make him worse. It's a dua against him. You know, it's a bad dua. It's a bad dua for Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. Okay, how did Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad do this to such people? This is the state they arrive in Sham in. Every part of the history of Sham is extremely painful to read, extremely difficult to read. That how such a beautiful progeny, such beautiful individuals, the best of individuals upon this earth, led by the single most complete human being of his time, the Imam, the Ma'soom, what treatment they went through. Entering Sham, a place where the people have been looking for a chance to take their revenge from Ali and the children of Ali. This is what Sham looks like. If you want to understand Sham properly, you have to have all the parameters together. The length of the journey, the weather, who is traveling, how are they traveling, what is the state of their hands, the neck of the Imam is in chains. This is the state of Sham. But what is the lesson that we can take from Sham? What echoes from Karbala into Sham? One lesson that echoes very loudly in Sham is the message of true freedom. See, in such a state, if you want to, in history, pick out one person and say, this is a prisoner. This is a person who's under full imprisonment, has been chained to a level where the human being has not seen in history. You would point at the fourth Imam in Sham. Nothing is in his control apparently. He's being pulled from one city to another, nor is the mount in his favor, nor are the chains in his favor, nor are the people that are accompanying, nor the speed of the animals that are traveling, nor the weather. Nothing is in his favor, apparently. And we would say this person is a person who's completely imprisoned. If you want to look at an example of imprisonment, this is somebody who's completely imprisoned. Whereas, if we look at history, it's exactly the opposite. The Imam in such a situation has become the symbol of freedom. The Imam in such a situation was such a free person, was so free that the people around him that were causing these issues for the Imam, the ones that were causing the imprisonment for the Imam, they seemed like they were imprisoned. The men who were free, their hands were free, they had the weapons in their hands. But they were the people that seemed like they were imprisoned, and the Imam was the one that seemed like he was free. There's a beautiful story, a short story that happened. This is much after Karbala. This is almost 10 years after Karbala, where the ruler of the time, the tyrant Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, he summons our fourth Imam, the same Imam, very interesting. He summons our fourth Imam from Medina all the way to Sham, because the capital is still in Sham. The government is still based in Sham. This is about the year, it's about 10 years after Karbala. He summons him towards Sham, and again the Imam is placed in chains, and the narrations mention until his neck again. Maybe we haven't heard of this, that the Imam was not only taken to Sham once in chains, but this happened again. Why? Because the light of Allah will not stop shining. Whatever you do to the light of Allah, it will continue shining. And the tyrants and those who love darkness cannot tolerate the light of Allah. So history will repeat itself. And that's what happened to all of our Imams. Until they were martyred and the next Imam rose. And they were martyred and the next Imam rose. And the story never finished. The story of Haqq and Batil never finished. The Imam is summoned towards Sham. One of his companions by the name of Zuhri, he comes to him and he sees that the Imam has chains upon his legs and he has chains on his hands. And he says, I began to cry and I told him, O Imam, I wish I was in your place and that you were free from these chains. This is something that we can say to our Imam in these days. The least that we can say to our fourth Imam, O Imam, had I been there, I would have taken the chains on myself and I would have fought that you are free. And I would have given my life in your way so that these chains are on me. I could not bear, we can't bear, O Imam, we can't bear as Shias to hear about this. If it happened in front of us, we wouldn't have let this happen. We would have given all of our strength, all of our possessions, all of our reputation, everything that we had so that those chains are not on your hands and they're on my hands. Zuhri says this to the Imam. وَدِدْتُ أَنِّي مَكَانَكَ وَأَنْتَ سَالِمٌ. I wish I was in your place and you were free from these chains. But look at the reply of the Imam. This is freedom, this is freedom. فَقَالَ يَا زُهْرِي أَوَتَظُنُّ هَذَا بِمَا تَرَى عَلَيَّ وَفِي عُنُقِي يُكَرِّبُنِي. O Zuhri, do you feel that these things that are in my hands, these chains, and that are upon my neck, this is something that's causing distress to me? This is causing me to be in a state of calamity where I cannot tolerate this any longer. أَمَا لَوْ شِئْتُ مَا كَانَ. O Zuhri, if I wanted these to be off me, they would have been off me just now. This is the Imam's connection to Allah. The Imam has strength that no human being can understand. My dear brothers, my dear sisters, this is the school of thought we've grown up at. We don't appreciate it because we've grown up with this unlimited source of power. We grew up hearing these stories. It's not strange for us. I swear if we were to narrate these stories for people that do not understand these, they would doubt that these really happened. And if they were to see them in front of their own eyes and believe them like we believe them, they would fall in love with these personalities. They would hold these personalities so high that nothing would be able to take down these personalities in their eyes. We've grown up with these names. We've grown up with these realities. We don't value it. And the beauty is that the route and the path is open for me and you. It's not that we sit and watch the Imam and say, Subhanallah, wah, wah, mashallah. We recite our naras and go home and continue. No. The true Nare Haydari is for us to follow this path and connect with the source of Nare Haydari. The true slogan, the true chant is to follow this path, for us to tap into this strength. And the hadith goes on, the story of Zuhri, until Zuhri meets the tyrant in the end. And obviously the tyrant is not able to achieve the goal that he has. Zuhri tells him, قال الزهري فقلت ليس علي بن الحسين حيث تظن. Zuhri is trying to teach this man a lesson. He says that, look, you have not understood the fourth Imam. You will not be able to understand him correctly. Why? إنه مشغول بنفسه. He's somebody who takes care and pays attention to himself. He's somebody who cares about his own success. He doesn't care about what you think and say and threaten and abuse and insult, and none of these are important for him. He's paying attention to himself. Until the tyrant himself replies, حَبَّذَا شُغُلُ مِثْلِهِ فَنِعْمَ مَا شُغِلَ بِهِ. He says this is truly the way that a person can achieve the levels. What a beautiful thing he has made himself occupied with, and he's made himself worry about his own self. This is true freedom. If we want to understand freedom, if we think freedom means that I can do what I want to do, this is the idea of modern freedom, liberalism, right? I have the liberty to do what I want to do. You don't have the right to tell me what to do. I will do what I want to do, right? If I want to remove my hijab, Islam has no authority to tell me what to do. If I want to listen to music, Islam has no authority to tell me what to do. If I want to dress the way I want to dress, Islam has no authority. If I want to deal and trade the way I want to trade and make transactions, Islam has no authority. This is liberalism. And they've made the human being believe that the more of this type of freedom you have, the more successful you are. The more you can do what you want to do, the more enjoyment and progress a human being has achieved. Whereas this is the flawed version of freedom. In fact, if you really want to understand this freedom, it's actually the highest form of enslavement. In essence, what they're trying to tell you is that live life like an animal. You want to see this type of freedom? The animal kingdom has it. Animals do what they want. They dress the way they want. They eat what they want. They speak what they want. They communicate the way they want to communicate. They deal with other animals the way they want to deal. Is this the freedom human beings were created for? That we stoop down and have this sort of freedom? In fact, this sort of freedom is nothing but enslavement. Enslavement of what? Enslavement of our desires, enslavement of our faculty of anger. Je nafs manas neke I eniwat samporse. Is this freedom? Didn't freedom mean to do what you wanted to do? But over here, all you're doing is you're listening to your nafs. By this definition of freedom, you know, one of the most free people in the world is a drug addict. A drug addict. If you go and stop a drug addict, you say, don't smoke or don't sniff or whatever usage of the drug that he has. Somebody should come and stop you and say, look, he's a free man. Let him do what he wants. Is this freedom? In the world, nobody calls a person who's a drug addict a free man. Yet, there's somebody who does what they want. Islam teaches us a higher level of freedom. It says that this liberalism and this type of freedom is essentially incorrect. The human being was not made for this. This is the freedom of an animal. This is the freedom of a person who follows their desires and their nafs. This isn't the true freedom. What is the true freedom? The true freedom is what our fourth Imam is showing us. What is this? The true freedom is this. This is a concept that, again, if we understand this in our lives, is very practical. Especially for those nowadays affected by the Western ideology, where liberalism is put at the top. They have slogans. In fact, if you look at one of the main messages that they want to put across to our children in movies, animations, cartoons, is freedom in the wrong manner. And they've even made theme songs with these words. Let it go. Right? One of the famous movies, the theme song of it, the words are "Let it go, be free." Means that don't listen to the people around you. Don't listen to your values. Don't listen to your intellect. Don't listen to right and wrong. Just do what you want to do. Live life the way you want to live life. Don't let anybody limit you. This kind of a person, if we follow this form of freedom, will end up in a ditch in life. You'll end up in a place where a person doesn't know where to rebuild their life from. Any sane person knows that the human being, if left alone without any limitations, even self-imposed limitations, will only lead to disaster. Right? If you tell a human being, wake up when you want, what time do you think they'll wake up? 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 p.m., 4 p.m. Eat what you want. How much will they eat? They'll eat as much as they want. You tell them, act in society the way you want to act. You know, interact with the people the way that you want to interact. This person is going to be a messed up person in society. What kind of a human being are we training? Anybody that cares about themselves doesn't accept this form of freedom. The Imam is teaching us the higher level of freedom. The higher level of freedom is this: that don't allow anything in life to imprison you and stop you and become a barrier for you to achieve that which you've been created for. You've been created for the highest level of success. The human being, that is the position and the rank of a human being. Allah says, right, after He created the human being and gave the human being the ruh, فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنَ الْخَالِقِينَ. He gives Himself Mubaraki, right? He says, Tabarak, blessed be the person who's the entity who is the greatest of creators. He created such an entity to be free, to sleep and wake up at 3 p.m. and eat what they want and fill their stomachs and not have any seriousness in life. Is this what Allah created the best of beings for? No, there's a higher purpose. You're supposed to connect with Allah. You're supposed to be a being that manifests Allah's beauties and traits within themselves. On this path, anything that limits you, you throw it aside. That is freedom. What can limit you? Sometimes threats limit us. Somebody comes and threatens us. If you do this, if you follow the path of Allah, if you make this deal over here that you should be making, if you do this, I will do this to you. If you trade with this country, I will sanction you. If you speak to this person in this manner, I will cut off my ties with you. If you support this political entity, I will further my sanctions on you. Right? We have a goal. We have actions to reach that goal. These people come to threaten us. A free person doesn't give importance to these threats because they know their goal is so important. They will persevere and push along this path to get to that goal. Do this. You have to do this. You have to work like this. You have to, look, this that people are telling you that you're not supposed to shake the hands of a namahram. This is, juno zamana no hato. Aajkal aam nahi chale. Nokri tane nahi male. This is a threat. Somebody says you won't be able to achieve your sustenance. Over here, are you going to take this threat? If you did, then you're being imprisoned. If you're a free person, you say, you know what, I've got a goal in mind. Allah is my sustainer. He's the one that's provided. He's told me not to get involved in this haram. I'll follow strong and make it to my goal, and I don't care about any threats on the path. This is freedom. Why? A person breaks shackles. A person breaks chains. You want to hear this in the words of our first Imam in Nahj al-Balagha, our first Imam, Imam Ali alayhi salam. Look at how beautifully he puts this. Sabaru ayyaman qasira. He says, the mu'mineen, this is about the muttaqeen. The muttaqeen in this world, they were patient for a few short days. They were strong and they persevered on the path for a few short days. أَعْقَبَتْهُمْ رَاحَةً طَوِيلًا. But what followed these few days of being patient and controlling themselves was a lengthy period of ease and comfort. تِجَارَةٌ مُرْبِحَةٌ. The Imam is appealing to Khojas over here. He says, These people, their trading was a trading that was very profitable. تجارة مربحة يسرها لهم ربهم. Allah gave them this opportunity. Talking about the muttaqeen. They were in control of themselves in this world. They lived like free men in this world. أرادتهم الدنيا. This is the sentence. أرادتهم الدنيا. The dunya from all sides, the haram, sought this person, tried to entangle this person, tried to enchain this person, tried to keep this person away from their goal. أرادتهم الدنيا فلم يريدوها. But these people ignored and turned their back away from the haram of this dunya. وأسرتهم. And the dunya sought to take them within its chains. Asir, asarathum, is actually from the word of imprisoning. Asarathum فَفَدَوْا أَنفُسَهُمْ مِنْهَا. They freed themselves and broke these shackles and separated from the haram of this dunya. This is true freedom. True freedom means that there is nothing that you can do to threaten me and take me away from my path of reaching Allah and my success as a human being. Where do we see this? We see this on the plains of Karbala. The Imam tells them, look, I have come to advise you. I've come to wake you up. But if you don't want to wake up, there's nothing that you can do to me that will move me from my path. I am a free man. There's no chain strong enough to chain me within it and imprison me within it. There is no chain. You can't find it. You want to try? Try. You want to bribe me? I'm going to break that shackle. You want to threaten me that I'm going to lose my companions? I'll break that shackle. You're going to threaten me that I lose my brother? My brother that since a young age I loved Abbas. This shackle can't tie me. You're going to threaten me that you take my children, my young infant child? This shackle also I will break. That you will imprison my family? This shackle also I will break. There's no chain that you can place upon such a person. Nothing can limit them. Nothing can stop them. This is the ultimate freedom. And this echoed in Kufa and Sham. In Sham, the Imam was in such a situation, as we began with, we spoke about the situation, that anybody in such a situation would submit, would say, I can't continue. But the Imam carries forward strong. In some hadith it's mentioned that on the way to Sham, the whole way, as these people, the tyrants, would seek to taunt the Imam and speak to the Imam wouldn't even give them a response. This is the strength. This is the freedom. This is freedom me and you want in our lives. You want to go back to Karbala? You want to see this again? There was a man in Karbala. His name was freedom. His mother named him freedom. But in his final moments, his master named him freedom and told him that you are a free man. Why? Because this man was in a situation where he saw the truth and he also saw this dunya. And he says, I see myself between Jannah and Nar. I see these two in front of me. And he says, for Wallah, by Allah, I will never pick Jahannam over Jannah. This is freedom. Hur, if you are a part of the army, you're very important, Hur. Hur, you have been sent to hold the Imam. As Hur is making his decision, one of his friends come to him and tells him, oh Hur, if I was to name the most brave Arab men, your name would be amongst them. Why do I see you in this position? Hur would have got a healthy reward for what he would have done in Karbala had he sided with Umar ibn Sa'd. Dunya would have been on his side if he would have sided with Umar ibn Sa'd. And leaving Umar ibn Sa'd and joining our Imam would cause him to lose his respect in the eyes of people that he built respect for decades and his whole lifetime with. He built his honor among such people that they saw Hur to be such a brave man, valiant, a commander. He'd lose all of this. He'd lose his dunya, he'd lose his reputation, he'd lose his family. more than everything, he would lose his own life. But Hur decided to break all the shackles at once and free himself. Now, let's fast forward to 2025. In our lives, if we are free people, if we decide that, look, I am going to follow the path of the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt until the end of my life. Now, my nafs and shaitan that seek to imprison me, that seek to keep me back, shaitan has made a promise. I'm going to swipe clean all of these people off your sirat, oh Allah. All of these people, I'm going to swipe them clean. But then, such a promise, he also wants to imprison you and me. If we make a decision to be free men, these shackles can no longer last upon us. These shackles no longer have any effect upon us. We break these shackles. And through breaking these shackles, we attain the true freedom. This is the true freedom. It's so beautiful when we see a man like this. And we're lucky to have the most complete of men and women of the Ahlul Bayt that live their lives like this. The Imam Husayn alayhi salam, teaches us this on the day of Ashura. We're switching between Karbala and Kufa to today, back to Karbala, back to Kufa. You see this, the message is the same. He says, فَإِنِّي لَا أَرَى الْمَوْتِ إِلَّا سَعَادَةً. I do not see death as anything but prosperity and success. Who in the world can say such a statement? A person who's freed themselves from attachment to this world. He goes on to say, وَلَا الْحَيَاةِ مَعَ الظَّالِمِينَ إِلَّا بَرَمًا. This is the sentence that I want to say. إِنَّ النَّاسِ عَبِيدُ الدُّنْيَا. The Imam says, human beings, most human beings, are slaves of this world. We're not free men. We think we're free men. We're not free men. The people who are free men are those that have freed themselves from all of the attachment to this dunya. إِنَّ النَّاسَ عَبِيدُ الدُّنْيَا وَالدِّينَ لَعْقٌ عَلَىٰ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. He says religion is something that they have upon their tongues. It's not something that they've adopted in their lives. It's upon their tongues. يَحُوطُونَهُ مَا دَرَّتْ مَعَايِشُهُمْ. As long as it's to their benefit to stick by religion and the values of Allah, they play with this around their tongue. They let it be there. They allow it to stay there. فَإِذَا مُحِّصُوا بِالْبَلَاءِ قَلَّ الدَّيَّانُ. But when times get difficult and calamities befall a person, challenges come about, the threats come about, the fear comes about, the Imam says, then the people who stick by their values and religion are very few. This is the true freedom that we're being taught. This is one lesson, very practical for our lives. Freedom doesn't mean to follow what your nafs says and do what you want and live a lazy life in this world. Freedom means to push aside the barriers to reach my goal and to continue on this path. The second lesson that we'll take briefly, and I will conclude, is that Yazid also in Sham shows his true reality. See, the tyrants, those who are against the Ahlul Bayt, right from the time of the Holy Prophet, as soon as the Holy Prophet announced his prophethood, and especially when he announced the Khilafah of his true successor, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam Ali alayhi salam. From that day onwards, these tyrants, their mission, whatever words they used, even at the time of the Abbasids, they claimed that we want to give the government and the rulership back to those who deserve it, the Ahlul Bayt. Whatever words, slogans, and facades they had upon themselves, these people had one mission. This mission was to extinguish the light of the Ahlul Bayt. And Yazid was one of those that said this loud and clear. If you want to look at this in today's day and age, there are different presidents that have been the presidents of the United States. All of them with a single mission. They want to have control and authority and supremacy over the whole world. Colonialism was very obvious. After that, Shant Besi Yapa Chajarak. But they had this goal. And now they have a president who comes out and says things that I'm sure they must be thinking, why is he saying these things? Because it's true, all of them have these same views. But he blurts, he speaks. He doesn't think before he speaks too much. Right? He said a sentence just a few weeks ago that one of our Maraja, Ayatollah Khamenei, recite a salawat for our Maraja and their long lives and their ability to serve the religion, salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He picked on a sentence that Trump said. He says that this man says, unconditional surrender. You must listen to us unconditionally. This is the word that one is saying, but all of them have believed over time, and they will continue to believe until the ideology behind this country changes. Anyway, back to our discussion. Yazid was one that would blurt things out. He recited poetry saying that Banu Hashim played with us. There was no wahi that ever came down. There was no news that came from the sky. He blurted this. He said it out loud. But the reality is that these enemies of Allah at that time and today, their mission is to put out the light of the Holy Prophet and the family of the Holy Prophet. That's their mission. Yesterday we spoke about how Ibn Ziyad in Kufa took about plan A, it didn't work. Plan B, it didn't work. Plan C, it didn't work. Plan D, it didn't work. Send these people to Sham. They're causing a revolution in Kufa. These people have no stability. Yazid is the same. They have no values. They have no true goal. They have no lofty purpose. And their reality is that they'll do anything and everything. They'll become friends and enemies. They'll make alliances with whoever they want, all to achieve their dirty goals that are limited to this world. Authority, control, unconditional surrender, as he put it. This is their goal. Yazid, this is his goal. And these people have loud voices. These people scream that you must submit. But the lesson that we take is the lesson that the Ahlul Bayt taught us. That even if you are in chains, even if you are the ones being brought as prisoners, even if Sham thinks that you are outlaws, even if Sham thinks that you are not even believers, if you stand strong on your mission, you can take down any enemy. If you connect yourself with to the power of Allah, if you place your trust in the hands of Allah, who are these people in the face of Allah? What authority and power do these people have? They're insignificant. And that's why the only way to take down tyrants in history that showed itself in Karbala, showed itself in Kufa, and is alive, the same message is alive today, is to face them, look at them in the eyes, and tell them that you do not have any power. Because their power is only in the minds of the people that listen to them. Fir'aun, in the Holy Quran it's mentioned that Fir'aun treated Bani Israel as slaves. فَاسْتَخَفَّ قَوْمَهُ فَأَطَاعُوهُ. He sought to bring them down, to humiliate them, and because of that they listened to him and obeyed him. In Kufa it's the same thing. Yazid claims and shouts and screams and flaunts, but inside him he's shaking at the power of this man in chains. And today it's the same thing. Any country, any nation, any people, any group that wants to stand up against oppression, wants to stand up against tyrants, the first thing they have to take out of their minds is that these people are superpowers. This term superpower only exists in the minds of the people. Superpower is not a reality. Superpower is not a superpower if it can't last 12 days of war. That's no longer called a superpower. 12 days. You can't last 12 days. You have to come forward and put your hands out and say that, I'm really sorry, we made a mistake. He said it himself. They got hit real bad. He said it himself. This is no longer called a superpower. You can make claims. This is the relevance of Karbala to Kufa to Sham in our lives today. Now you may say that, okay, where do I face a tyrant in my lives? The tyrant is not somebody that you face always face to face. It's ideology. If we continuously think that the Western style of living and the Western ideology is the superior ideology, we celebrate them, we call them polished people, very people of manners and etiquette. And look, this is all words. We have our Imams. Why are we taking these people as our role models? The Western lifestyle is going to be my way of living? A lifestyle that's based on lies, a lifestyle that's based and directed to take a person to the pits of Jahannam, to make the human being into an animal. Liberalism, we spoke about it. We're going to follow that lifestyle. We're going to celebrate their values. We have to look at their values in the eyes and tell them that we have our values set by the most free of men to walk upon this earth. That's where we take our values from. Islam is my guide in life, not what society wants to tell me or social media wants to tell me or the Western lifestyle or the Western model of life wants to tell you. Islam is my compass. Even if these people think it's backwards, even if these people make fun of it, even if these people mock it, even if they call us people who are stuck 1,400 years ago, what progress have you made in this 1,400 years that you're celebrating? You've been able to destroy the family unit. You've been able to make human beings think they are animals. I don't mean this metaphorically, literally. They identify as animals. Is this the progress of your society after 1,400 years? We're much happier being with the values of the Ahlul Bayt. We don't stand for these values. These are not our values. We have our own values. We have our own value system. This is the message that we can take from Sham specifically, from Karbala to Kufa to Sham in our lives. Inshallah, we pray to Allah that He makes us amongst the truly free people. We'll take our hearts to Sham just for a few minutes of Masa'ib. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdillah. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdillah. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdillah. I only intend to recite a very short masa'ib. Even though this masa'ib is very short, it's very painful, very difficult to recite. Just imagine these young children, the daughters of the Imam, from the day of Ashura, one after the other, the calamities they faced. It didn't finish for them to see their uncle, their brothers, their infant brother being martyred, their father's head to be on a spear. They were taken on camelback all the way to Kufa, imprisoned, put in situations where they were meant to be humiliated. It's mentioned after the long journey towards Sham, as they arrived in Sham, these young children, one of the first narrations that's mentioned from Sham. فَلَمَّا جَلَسْنَا بَيْنَ يَزِيدٍ. When we were sitting in front of Yazid. Oh believers, this masa'ib is very difficult to recite. فَقَامَ إِلَيْهِ رَجُلٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الشَّامِ أَحْمَرٌ. A red-looking man from the people of Sham stands up. What do you want, O man, O Shami? What is your request? Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, habli hadhihi al-jariya. O Yazid. Oh Yazid, give me give me this young daughter of Husayn. This is where this young daughter, she looks at her aunt Zainab. Oh Zainab, protect me in front of these men. How can they utter such words? Do they not know I'm the daughter of Husayn? Zainab stands up with her courage and she calls out, "Oh Yazid, you know that you don't have the right to do such a thing." She protects this young lady. But oh believers, just imagine how Sham passed upon these young children, the daughters of Husayn. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. ماتم حسين.
میں محمد کی نواسی ہوں، نہ چھینو چادر، نہ چھینو چادر، شام والوں سے یہ زینب نے کہا رو رو کر، کہا رو رو کر، شام والوں سے یہ زینب نے کہا رو رو کر، کہا رو رو کر، میں محمد کی نواسی ہوں، نہ چھینو چادر، نہ چھینو چادر، شام والوں سے یہ زینب نے کہا رو رو کر، کہا رو رو کر، شام والوں سے یہ زینب نے کہا رو رو کر، کہا رو رو کر، ابھی کچھ دیر میں آئیں گے نجف سے بابا، ابھی کچھ دیر میں آئیں گے نجف سے بابا، سر کھلے جاؤں گی کس طرح میں پیش حیدر، میں پیش حیدر، شام والوں سے یہ زینب نے کہا رو رو کر، کہا رو رو کر، شام والوں سے یہ زینب نے کہا رو رو کر، کہا رو رو کر، تازیانوں کی سزا مجھ پہ بڑھا دو لیکن، تازیانوں کی سزا مجھ پہ بڑھا دو لیکن، میرے بھائی کے کٹے سر کو نہ مارو پتھر، نہ مارو پتھر، شام والوں سے یہ زینب نے کہا رو رو کر، کہا رو رو کر، شام والوں سے یہ زینب نے کہا رو رو کر، کہا رو رو کر، ایک بیمار کو کب خاک پہ نیند آتی ہے، ایک بیمار کو کب خاک پہ نیند آتی ہے، ظالموں میرے بھتیجے کا نہ چھینو بستر، نہ چھینو بستر، شام والوں سے یہ زینب نے کہا رو رو کر، کہا رو رو کر، شام والوں سے یہ زینب نے کہا رو رو کر، کہا رو رو کر، کون اب مجھے سے دلائے گا تمہیں یہ بوندے، کون اب مجھ سے دلائے گا تمہیں یہ بوندے، شمر کہتا تھا سکینہ کو دکھا کر گوہر، دکھا کر گوہر، شام والوں سے یہ زینب نے کہا رو رو کر، کہا رو رو کر، یہ ہے ممتا کی نشانی نہ جلاؤ اس کو، یہ ہے ممتا کی نشانی نہ جلاؤ اس کو، کھیلتا تھا اسی گہوارے میں میرا اصغر، ہاں میرا اصغر، شام والوں سے یہ زینب نے کہا رو رو کر، کہا رو رو کر، یہ تو اللہ سے وعدہ ہے جو خاموش ہوں میں، یہ تو اللہ سے وعدہ ہے جو خاموش ہوں میں، ورنہ اے ظالموں میں بھی ہوں علی کی دختر، علی کی دختر، شام والوں سے یہ زینب نے کہا رو رو کر، کہا رو رو کر، بیٹھ کر پڑھتی ہے زندہ میں نمازیں وہ بلال، بیٹھ کر پڑھتی ہے زندہ میں نمازیں وہ بلال، توڑ دی یوں غم عباس نے زینب کی کمر، ہاں زینب کی کمر، شام والوں سے یہ زینب نے کہا رو رو کر، کہا رو رو کر، سورہ مبارک فاتحہ۔
توجہ سیار، السلام علیکہ یا رسول اللہ، السلام علیکہ یا امیر المؤمنین، السلام علیکہ یا فاطمۃ الزہراء سیدۃ النساء العالمین، السلام علیکہ یا حسن المجتبی، السلام علیکہ یا ابا عبداللہ وعلی الارواح التي حلت بفنائک، علیکم منی جميعا سلام اللہ ابدا ما بقیت وبقی اللیل والنہار، ولا جعل الله الآخر لحد مني لزيارتكم، السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا مولا ابن مولا، السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلطان أبا الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا، كن شفيعنا وشفيع والدينا في يوم الجزاء، وعلى أختك فاطمة المعصومة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب العصر والزمان، السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان، السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان، عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته.